Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am finally giving you a review for Inventions and Ideas from Gather Round, so stick around. For whatever reason, it feels like we are going so slowly through our Gather Round units. I don't know if we actually are, but man, it feels like it. I don't know why, but this one took us a little bit longer also. I think South America took us a little while too. There's just been so much going on, and I talked about this in a video a little while back, maybe like 2 or 3 videos back. I talked about just things were just going crazy. Actually, it may have even been last week's video, with like the whole morning madness thing that was happening. But nonetheless, we are done. We are on a break, and man, does it feel good to breathe a little bit. So I will go over kind of both my daughter's thoughts on Inventions and Ideas and my thoughts. For those who may be new here, we've been using Gather Round pretty well since we started homeschooling, and let's see, how many years? I guess 3.5 years-ish, something like that. So we've been using it for quite some time, very familiar with it. But nonetheless, I always give kind of her thoughts first, and then I go through my thoughts. This one, honestly, she didn't have too much to say. It was very difficult to even get, more than just one thing from her. I tried to dig a little bit and get some more from her, but basically she loved everything. And that's really all that I could get. I asked her for some specifics. She did like making her own invention. She liked the videos that we were able to watch. She said she liked learning about Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, and Thomas Edison, because I asked her, like, who were some specific people you liked? What did they make? Like I said, I was digging, because all she would give me was, I loved everything, and that's it. And then she liked the experiments, which I will talk about in a little bit, but she said she enjoyed those. I asked her to just find one thing maybe that she didn't like, wasn't her favorite part. She would make different, do different, whatever. The only thing she could come up with was the grammar pages. So in Inventions and Ideas, the language arts focus was on pronouns, and she said those pages weren't really her favorite pages. So that is my early readers review of Inventions and Ideas. Now on to my thoughts. Originally, when I was looking through this teacher guide, I was overwhelmed at the amount of reading. It seemed as though there was a lot of reading in this one. Now, I don't know if that's just because the layout is a little different. It's kind of similar, but it's a little different than the continent units, which are what we've been doing most recently. So those are kind of the ones that are most fresh in my brain. And those kind of follow the same rhythm through every lesson, where you're learning like kind of basic information about the continent, about the country. And then that's kind of broken up into smaller little sections, food and culture and things like that. But that's kind of the same thing throughout every country. And so this is similar in the way that, yes, there is like a small introductory section, and then there are sections, there are other smaller broken up sections. But again, it felt, just looking at it, it seemed like a lot of reading to me. So what I did, as you can see here, I went through and I made these little sticky notes on places that I wanted to take a break and watch a video, because I have found especially, which I did it with the continent units. I started doing that intentionally with the continent units just because I just wanted to add extra cool things. I wanted to see videos of the national park, and I wanted to see videos of song and dance and people trying foods. And, I really wanted to kind of help immerse ourselves into what we were actually reading about. And so that then led to kind of needing the videos, especially with the Inventions unit. I felt that we needed the videos. Not necessarily because the content in that we were reading was boring or anything like that. In some things, yes, it was, but that's just kind of the nature of it. But like, I needed a break from reading, and my daughter needed a break from listening to me read. And it did really help kind of bring things to life, and we could actually, see the way things were made or how they were invented, things like that. So the videos were definitely a plus. I am disappointed that so many of the resources have seemingly gone. Gather Round moved everything from being accessed on their website to now being accessed through their app, but you can still access that through an internet browser. I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever. They changed some stuff around. And in that process, a lot of the extra resources and videos and things that people had contributed got lost, didn't make it over, whatever. I don't know. So I was a little disappointed in that because there were a lot. And as you can see, if you've watched any of my Plan With Me videos, which I think, quite honestly, I think I've only done a couple because my process is the same every time. But I only have 2 tabs here for like extra things that I needed to plan for outside of what was included in the curriculum. And that's not normal. And again, this could be just coming off of the continent units. I feel like there were lots of cool things, cool extra things we got to do with Africa, and extra crafts and ideas. And there was a lot. South America, I think that's when they had transitioned over. And I think a lot of that stuff kind of was lost in South America. And I just didn't plan very well for that one. So I wanted to make it a point to really plan for this. And I sat down and realized there's nothing really to add on extra, and there's no real ideas in the unit resources. Turned out that was okay. Again, the videos, there were plenty of those for us. I was able to break it up just fine. And we did do a little bit of rabbit trailing on several of them. So no big deal there, now that we have gone through it, but kind of upfront looking at that, I was like, man, I don't know how we're going to get through this. The other thing with the experiments, so my daughter loved those. I really enjoyed those. Once we kind of handled our morning madness situation, again, that I had talked about, I think it was in my last video, we really got to enjoy the extra things that were already built into the unit. And I didn't look through that very much when I was kind of doing my planning session, kind of going through and figuring out what we were going to do. Yes, I was disappointed to see that a lot of the additional resources that, are offered on the internet, through the app or whatever, a lot of those were gone. However, I didn't really notice that a lot of them were already built in. So we did get to do several experiments, which was really, really cool. Most of them, we had everything for it. The only one we didn't get to do was something with oranges because I didn't have oranges. And then by the time I had gotten around to getting groceries again to then have the oranges, we had already well past it, and my daughter was kind of over it. So that was the only one we didn't get to do. But all the other ones, like I said, I didn't really recognize that they were in there. And I had everything we needed in order to do those. So that worked out okay for us. And again, they were fun fun little experiments to do. These had several in them, and my daughter's we've not really had that with any of the other units. That you may have like an experiment or two, but I feel like with this one we did a handful of them, so that was really awesome. What else? I mean, I feel like this one, again, it took us a little while to get through. The grammar was fine. This one did come with the seat work pages. We didn't do that. I don't know. I don't know if we will eventually go back to using the seat work pages or not. We're using Explode the Code and handwriting, and I feel like maybe that's enough. I feel like maybe I don't want to include the seat work pages now. At least not until they get a little more streamlined. The fact that the seat work pages and the seat work journal have been something that Gather Round kind of slowly added in, and then it's kind of changed. And I think the way that it's utilized in the later units, some of the most recent, with it being a separate journal, I think that's the best way to go. However, that's only in the last handful of units that have been released. So it's really difficult, especially for my daughter at her age, to like have it and then not have it and then have it, and like switching things up. And that's too hard for me to keep up with. So I think we're just going to nix the seat work journal, except for Vikings, I think, which I'll talk about that if and when we get to Vikings. Oh, there was also one of the last lessons, which I thought was really awesome, was things that build. And my husband actually got to be home for that one. So that was really cool. He got to go through, he did the whole lesson with her, which he's not been able to do before. There have been times where he's kind of dabbled a little bit, if he's been home. But he's usually home because there's something else he needs to be doing. And so, but this was like just free time. And so it was really, really awesome for him to be able to do that lesson specifically with her, because that's his forte, right? And so it was really awesome. They went around the house and measured a bunch of different things, and he got to show her different tools and how they operate and all that stuff, which she's fairly familiar with anyway, because she helps us with a lot of things. But that was just a cool one that she was able to do with Dad. Overall, I think this unit is great for general overview. And I'm getting this feeling from several of the Gather Round units that we've done so far. I'm trying to think if there's been one we've done like a specific topic on. Like Vikings, to me, that's kind of more of a specific topic, and you could go a little bit deeper into Vikings. But we've not done that one, so I don't know what that unit looks like. But a lot of these, I'm getting like, it's a very wide view, which I think is great right now. Like in the younger years, even into like maybe middle school, it's great to kind of have a wide overview. And then if there are specific things as you go through that you want to dive deep into, that's fantastic. It allows you that opportunity. But Inventions and Ideas was definitely a very broad overview. Obviously, there are so many things, and there are so many ways they could have handled it. I think they did a great job of covering a lot of different things, things that would appeal to everyone, really. Kids, adults, things out of necessity, things that came up just by accident, which the chocolate chip cookie, that was a fun one to learn about. I think having the broad overview was really great for us, because we got to kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. This is not a topic that we've really talked about much. But it is kind of cool to see through other units. We have heard some of the names and some of the things mentioned. And so it was cool to kind of see those connections being made and kind of get a little bit more of a backstory. Overall, we liked this one. I don't think I liked it as much as my daughter. I think she really, really loved this one, and she was sad to see this one end. Me, on the other hand, was just like, okay, there are some cool things, you know, and some of the history things were cool. And we got to talking about like internet and cell phones and all of that stuff. Yeah, that one kind of hurt your feelings a little bit. But overall, I liked it. It was fine. Again, I think maybe we're just at a place, or maybe it's just me mentally. I'm at a place where it's just, I don't know. Like everything is just, it's okay. It's fine. It's good. And then we just are kind of moving on. But again, I think that could just be because of all the craziness that's been happening and been going on. So I am really hopeful that this 3-week break will kind of give us a little bit of a reset here, and then we'll be able to start again on something else. And then maybe kind of my perspective will be a little bit more better, a little more better, you know, like, so I think that is it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.